In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. I am Amit, that is K. And you're going to notice not one, not two, but three other people on your screen now, and not just any people. These are celebrities in DC sports. They are the hosts of Ref the District, which is one of the best DC sports podcasts out there. We are, of course, competition, but we are friends. We are collaborators, and it's great to see you guys. There's Nathan, there's Trev, there's Stoner. Nathan, I'm going to throw it to you. You are the main host, I want to say, the guy that sort of drives the bus for these guys. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and then throw it to these guys to do the same.
Well, first, I want to say that I appreciate the love. You know, you're not competitors, right? Because you're like I said, we're all in this together. We all eat. There's definitely enough space out there for all of us to have some success. So thanks for having us on. I'm Nathan, one of the co-hosts for Ref the District, and with these two yahoos that you'll see on your screen as well. And we stream live every Wednesday at 7:30. That's our flagship program. Of course, if you go out to our YouTube channel, you'll see some of the other content we create. We do DC sports as well, not just the Commanders, but we do have a lot to say about the biggest team, maybe not the most loved team in DC, but at least the biggest team in DC.
Give you that for sure.
Yeah, man. And so I'm the Stoner. Another thing we wanted to plug a little bit, if we can, we've got a really cool show that we call After the Whistle. And it is kind of a side project or a sister project, if you will, that we do where we talk to people in sports, but not necessarily about sports. So we've had people like Julie Donaldson. We've had Brittany Wagner from Last Chance U. We've had Tailgate Ted come on. And we don't just talk about the Commanders. We talk about everything surrounding them and what they're up to. We talked to four of the women who were part of the Washington Post deep dive into what's going on inside of the Commanders. So that's another show that we do, like Nathan said, along with our flagship program.
Yeah. My man Stoner asked Ari Mayrove if he's still living with his parents.
And he was, right? So that's a good question.
Yeah.
The hard-hitting questions. Yeah. Yes. What people really want to know. Where are those tweets coming from?
Yeah.
To piggyback off, last but not least, I'm Trevor, the third part of Ref the District. They started this show, I think, a year before I joined. I met these guys, these yahoos at training camp last year, because I follow their stuff on social media, and they had me on their show as a guest for like a whole month of August. And little did I know it was my audition at the time, but I guess I nailed it because here I am today, a part of Ref the District. So I'm the most hated and the most loved out of the three, I think. So definitely the most hated.
Because he's a fan.
Yeah, that's all.
We're absolutely thrilled to have you guys here, and thank you. And again, for those watching, this may be a bit of a madhouse. We're trying to figure this out. We're doing this all on the fly, but let's jump into it, gentlemen. So the other day on social media, I saw a QB rankings list. So 1 through 32, best NFL to worst NFL quarterback starting, and then all of a sudden I saw another and another. And another. And one of the most interesting things about those lists was where Carson Wentz was placed on the list. And it's all over the place. It's absolutely all over the place. So I wanted to ask you guys, K-Dot, I'm going to begin with you. Where would you rank Carson Wentz from 1 through 32 in terms of starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now?
So that's the thing is I was looking at a range, and I'll say, because these are my first words here. Initially, I don't know what the hell is going on. I thought you're holding audition to be my find my replacement, whatever. So I'm just here. No, when you talk about, so top 16, meaning in the top half of the league, right? I think for Carson, he's right there around that 16th spot. I mean, the thing is, like, I was pulling up the stats and I keep looking back at him right here on Pro Football Reference on, like, I ranked by QBR. And I'm looking at, he's ranked 9th as far as 2021 in the QBR, but I'm looking at the guys who had a lower QBR that I'm like, yeah, I'd still pick any one of those guys over this dude. Like, am I picking Carson Wentz over Joe Burrow? No. Am I picking him over Derek Carr? No. Kirk Cousins? No. Lamar Jackson? No. So it's like he's right there. And I think that what we're looking at going into this season, and you talk about like the Washington expectations, this, that, and the other, he has the potential. We've seen it. It's been a while, but we've seen he has that top 10 potential, I think, from Carson. It's just, what do you do with the weapons and everything that you have right now? There'd be no excuses. And I think that's the thing for everybody this season is the no excuses part. You got the weapons, you got the people. Where are you at? And I think that to me is where I want to see with him.
Okay. And I want to throw it to Nathan because I saw his head just sort of tilt a little bit when you said Derek Carr. So Nathan, your response.
Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins, those are a bit surprising that you'd take them over Carson Wentz, in my opinion. I think that they're probably all in the same tier. I wouldn't necessarily any one of them are heads and shoulders above the other, but
No.
Kirk Cousins, did you not remember him here? Do you not know what he's done to Minnesota? This guy went into Minnesota with the top defense and a proven offense, and they got worse with all that guaranteed money. He got paid great, but Lamar Jackson, you got a point. I would definitely take Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, 100% over Carson Wentz.
Did you just say no? Did you just say no?
Go.
He's cheating a little bit.
I know.
Well, Nathan's a noted Kirk Cousins hater. So if you mention Kirk Cousins, and
I'm also a noted Carson Wentz. I didn't like it, right? I didn't want to talk about Carson Wentz.
I love it
for before the trade because I didn't want that to happen. He wasn't the QB that I
love it.
I didn't want to spend resources and money to get a guy that honestly, like you said, is right around that 16 range, right? He's not.
Where's
top
Taylor
10.
Heineke in that range?
Well,
He's not in that range.
There we go. So anybody, I'll take anybody over Taylor Heineke.
But Carson Wentz, I do think that he's in that kind of mid-tier range. I do think he's getting lower. You mentioned a lot of these rankings. We'll have him in the 20s. There was one I saw today that had him at 30. You're trying to tell me Carson Wentz, a guy who just last year threw 27 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, is the 30th best quarterback. There's a lot of people who would love to see that on their team,
including Washington,
including us, right?
So I think a lot of that comes from recency bias, right? If you were to poll people week 10 of last year, Carson Wentz is easily in the top 12 quarterbacks because he was on that heater. And then he kind of got COVID. They kind of derailed at the end of the season, and everybody's just like, "Oh, everyone remembers that left-handed shovel pass interception."
Well,
that's unforgettable.
Bad look.
That's unforgettable.
That's why you see that list.
It's so bad that's what sticks in people's minds. So they think, "Oh, he's turnover prone." The guy had 7 interceptions. I think 1 lost fumble. Now, your advanced statistics, you can look at, dropped interceptions and whatnot, but those were dropped. You can't count them. You can't sit there, So I don't think he's a great QB, but he's certainly better than where I've seen him on some of these lists.
This town would kill for 3,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks, and a 9-7 record. This town or 9-8
kill for that.
9-8. We would kill for that, for our quarterback to do that. So the hate that people have out there is usually not from inside the Washington fan base. It's usually from the outside because everybody knows what we have potentially. What we have is something better than this team has had in at least 5 years. Maybe 10. I mean, Kirk is about on that area, right?
Yeah,
but he wasn't leading you
tier.
He wasn't leading you to wins necessarily, but he was performing at a high level. So we haven't had that around here. So we would kill for that sort of production and just miss the playoffs. I mean, that's such a huge step up.
Exactly. I'm to piggyback off that. Obviously, winning in 9-8 and those stats would be great. But if we just have a quarterback that can make an NFL throw, I think that we would be over the roof with excitement just as equal if we were 9-8 with those stats. Because our quarterbacks, our last deep threat was Deshaun Jackson, and how many years ago was that?
Sure.
So, and we haven't had an explosive quarterback besides RG3. Kirk Cousins was decent, but he wasn't explosive like an RG3. He wasn't, like jumping off the paper like, oh wow, like it was just like he was a game manager and he had better weapons than I guess Taylor and everybody else has had because he had Pierre, he did have Deshaun, he did have
Jordan Reed,
so he has weapons. But
Jay Gruden can call an offense.
Crowder.
He can.
Sure.
Yeah, he can call it right out of the league to be jobless is what he can do. But
he's not a good head coach, but offensive
he's not a
coordinator.
good court coach at all. So anyway, it's just I'm happy to see. I think I agree. Right there in the middle of the pack, 16 to 18 to 20 at the lowest is probably Because
Sure.
like you said, we've seen him when he has weapons, he's great. And when he doesn't have weapons, he's not that great. So this year's no excuses, like K-Dot said.
Yeah, no, I'm super interested to. Well, actually, K-Dot, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and respond to that.
I think the thing with so like I went back early, as soon as the trade happened, I went back and I bought the NFL replay rewind crap. And I started watching the Colts games. And I'm like, all right, I got to watch the Jacksonville game more than anything because that was the game that everything went off the rails. And I'm sorry, that game was not his fault.
Thank you.
It went bad. It was not his fault.
They stopped running the ball.
They stopped. And it, like, here's the thing. Early on in the game, Jonathan Taylor couldn't get anything done. And then by the time the third quarter comes around, I think it was the third quarter, he breaks his first like 10+ yard run. And then by that point, it was like the offense is just the wheels had fallen off. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see anything that there was a lot of drop passes and a lot of things that I was looking at Carson, I'm like, holy shit. But that's that whole recency bias thing, is that I think the bad taste in everybody's mouth is that terrible highlight as far as him doing that little shovel pass with his left hand. There's the everything that you got that Irsay is saying, trying to throw him under the bus. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's the thing that is hurt his brand, right? Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily what he's doing on the field as much as his brand is tanked terribly. They traded to go get the guy. This is going to be the coach that loves you. You had your most success, and they cut you loose.
Look, I know that the Jacksonville game, he had a QBR of 4.3. I don't care how much fault it was. Listen, a 4.3, if you are a really, really good high school student, you could maybe get into Stanford with that GPA, but that is horrible for a QBR. I don't care how much it wasn't your fault. A 4.3 is a 4.3. He saved his worst for last. Yes, he got COVID, and that's interesting, right? Because you do see that affect many, many people in different ways. For some, it's like, okay, they actually got better. I remember the Patriots, they were suddenly better after they got COVID for a little bit. It was like, what's going on here? Everyone should just get COVID. And then all of a sudden you see Carson Wentz get, and you go, okay, maybe, you know what? This is kind of serious. Where's Fauci at? I think that top half, yes. I think from a talent perspective, Carson Wentz is absolutely there. Nathan, you had mentioned when the Carson Wentz trade happened, not too happy. I was in the same boat. We were being sold dreams, right? We're talking about Russell Wilson. We're talking about at the time before Lord knows what, like, Deshaun, Aaron Rodgers, all these guys. And that's where your head is. So when this happened, it felt like a letdown, but the more it sits with you, we didn't give up a first round pick. We end up getting Jahan Dotson. This could be the best.
And I love the fact that they haven't restructured his contract, because if he doesn't pan out, you just cut him next year.
He's going to pan out.
And you don't have to. We want him to pan out because we're fans and we want to see the best in him. I am going to co-sign real quick. That game, even though the game wasn't really all on him, they were trying to run the offense through him and it wasn't working. There's those dropped passes. But if I'm paying a QB, we're paying him $28 million to win football games. I need to be able to put the ball in his hand and win football games. So I will co-sign that part. I'm also going to co-sign Stoner's we would kill to have something like that. There are people out there standing over a man who just threw 20 touchdowns to 15 interceptions and 3,400 yards. And they would prefer him over Carson Wentz.
He's a nice guy. He was on his sister's couch, remember?
Right. I love the story, and I appreciate what Taylor Heineke did, but you can just see it. We were at OTAs a few weeks ago.
What did he do for us?
And you could just see the difference in passes between Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke. Every time you saw the ball wobbling in a duck,
Nathan,
you're like,
your 9-year-old son can throw a better ball than Taylor Heineke. What's the next topic? Let's go.
Man, oh my goodness. I did not realize the level of hate for
one last thing on the Carson Wentz deal.
Go ahead. Before we move on.
Look, all right, Taylor, get it. He literally is Shane Falco. It's Keanu Reeves throwing a fucking football.
It's true. That's why we love him.
Beyond that, I will say this. The Carson Wentz thing, when I talk about the brand, a big part of that brand also comes with our fan base, right? So you have half the fan base won't trust anything because nothing ever pans out. The light at the end of the tunnel is always a freight train. It's never anything but a freight train, right? And then beyond that, you have the guys that are just like, look, nothing will ever pan out regardless of whatever it is. You can't trust it. Then there's some people that were hungry for anything to work. So, hey, but if you're just keeping things a buck, keep it 100. We all know the truth. Carson Wentz is 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, an upgrade over Taylor Heineke. That's all you need to know. That's literally all you really need to know going into the season is we have an upgrade.
We do.
And that's a perfect transition, because now I want to talk about the expectations for the season coming up, right? So now we've talked about Carson Wentz. Where do we feel he's at mentally from that 1 through 32 starting quarterback list? And Stoner, throw it to you. What are you expecting? We would kill for 9-7, like you said, and those 27 touchdowns and 7 picks. But what do you see? Again, a lot of sort of under the radar, exciting moves made this offseason. The offense has been upgraded. The defense, Warren Sapp was talking just so glowingly of our defensive line, to the point where I was like, they're going to get 100 sacks, aren't they? That's good. We're going to shatter the record. What do you think about this upcoming season for our Commanders?
Well, if you look at it from, the big picture, from way far away, without really digging too deep into it, you've got a team that went 7-10 last year with the quarterback that we just talked about. They played the top 6 quarterbacks in the NFL. This defense played against the top 6: Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes.
You still can't
we
say
can't
it.
say that on this show. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady,
who we
Russell
beat
Wilson, Josh Allen, and Justin Herbert. They played all 6 of those last year.
Yeah.
And finished at 7-10. Not great, but not disastrous either. This year, they replaced those guys with the likes of Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Justin Fields, Davis Mills, maybe Jacoby Brissett, guys like that are not anywhere near that. They do play Aaron Rodgers, but he's the only one of those top 6 that they play again this year. And they eked out a 7-10 record. They didn't lose a whole lot on offense. They lost a couple of linemen. They lost a backup tight end. And they lost a couple of backup guys on the defensive line and a safety. That's all they lost. They didn't lose anything major. You can quibble with the Brandon Sheriff deal,
sure,
and Eric Flowers, but they didn't lose anything major. They didn't lose major weapons, right? And they improved at the most important position. And they went from the 3rd toughest schedule to the easiest schedule in the NFL. How can you not think that this team is going to improve? I don't bleed. What's the term? I don't drink the Kool-Aid, right? So I will criticize when I see something I don't like, right? But I just can't help thinking that how can a 7-10 team with a reverse difficult schedule not become a 10-7 team when they've improved at that position? It baffles me to think that people don't have as high as expectations as I do.
Yeah, because you're speaking clearly from just a logical perspective of,
logical.
Hey, we
there's a lot of nuance to it.
Yeah, because we know this team has blown up in our faces, even in the face of facts, just like this. But I understand where you're coming from. Trev, I want to throw it to you here. And also feel free, you guys went to the OTAs as well. So feel free to let us know, hey, what'd you see out there? Right? Like, hey, how good
I don't know that they saw a whole lot. Right? I don't know. Not clearly anyway. I don't know if they saw everything clearly.
All right, I'm gonna go back to your original question before OTAs.
Sure.
I'm a Stoner. Like I've been Ashford syndrome my whole career as a Commanders Redskins football team fan. You get hype, RG3 comes, we're going to the Super Bowl, and we make that miraculous run after starting 3-6.
I think we have just hope. To be clear, if he doesn't break his leg.
Yeah, breaks his leg. Alex Smith comes. Okay, he's a veteran, he's old, but he's still Alex Smith. He's had success. We're 6-3, breaks his leg. Here we go. So then, then last year, COVID, all that stuff. We get some playmakers on offense. Terry McLaurin's a beast. Chase Young's coming out. This and that. We're hype. Last year, 7-10, like Stoner said. But this year, from the logical, realistic football perspective, we have a quarterback, we have a running back, we have a tight end when he's healthy, Logan Thomas, we do. Terry McLaurin's a stud, Curtis Samuel healthy is a stud, Jahan Dotson has proven he's going to be a stud. I mean, it's OTAs, no pads, no real defense, but still, he's doing something. And then our defense
seems to be bust proof.
Yeah, and like Stoner said, our defense, we didn't lose any core players. Our linebacking core is still shaky. They don't seem to address that very well, but I think we got better on defensive line. I think our secondary will have a better year because of our better defensive line. So I do think that from a football standpoint, we should have a successful season. We should score a lot of more points on offense. We should be more explosive on offense. We should be more dynamic, more interesting, more entertaining. Because the past few years,
it's been rough.
Scott Turner's taken a lot of blame, including I've blamed him a couple times too. But realistically,
we all have. Yeah.
You got to see he's dealt with what? How many quarterbacks in the 2-3 years he's been there?
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Terry's had
Like,
8 QBs, and so half.
So probably 5.
Yeah.
So there you go.
6
so
of those are probably.
and then you don't have the right players to run the right offense that he's calling. Makes it look like he's calling the bad offense, but really it's the players' fault, not the coaches. But this year, like we've all said, no excuses. This is probably the most balanced team we've had on both sides of the ball in the past few years I can remember.
I would say past
even,
decade.
You know?
RG3 put that tweet out, and I thought that was very measured decade, right back to 2012.
Of course,
but he's right.
But it's true.
He is right.
Because we went 7-9 2 years ago, NFC Championship, but we didn't like go on a run and like do anything crazy to get there. We just played Nate Sudfeld in the second half of the game.
Oh yeah, Alex Smith couldn't move. He literally couldn't move in the fourth quarter.
They took Jalen Hurts out and let us win and beat them and got us in the, so whatever.
And let's not overlook also of what this better offense does for the defense.
Thank you.
Because they can sustain longer drives.
Keep them rested.
They'll have more drives because they are better at what they're doing. So all of that will help the defense stay off the field. You remember I think it was last year when I think Washington went their first 14 games without scoring the first time they had the ball.
Yes.
Right? Which was like a record or at least a team record, something like that. But that takes its toll on a defense, especially as the season goes on. So that's something to also not overlook, to put into that this team's going to be good category.
And just to piggyback off of that, it's also not just resting the defense, but also putting them in very obvious passing situations. So Montez Sweat must be grinning, right? Chase Young, when healthy, would be grinning. So it makes a lot of sense. Everything's connected. And I think it's easy for the typical fan to be like, okay, we have a good standalone defense. We have a good standalone offense. It's yin and yang. If one works, the other starts working too. It snowballs in both directions. Nathan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, I'll agree with my guys here. Expectations are pretty high, but with those expectations, I think there's going to be some consequences if they can't, meet those. And so my expectation on that would be if they don't make the playoffs, if they don't have a winning record, then some wholesale changes need to happen. They can't have another 7-10 season. They cannot.
No,
you do not want
with
to be
this
stuck
schedule
in mediocrity. So my expectations are at least get a winning. I called when we're going through the schedule, I said that this is going to be a paper double-digit win team. And the losses that they're going to have are going to be against the good teams, against the winning teams, and they're probably going to flame out in the playoffs if they make it there. But at least they would have a winning season. We can gripe all we want about how they didn't beat anybody above 500 after the season. I'm fine with that. At least they beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. That's something this team has struggled with.
I want to come at the end of the season to be like, oh, we won, we're in. We have to worry about the last whatever. I don't want to spend another season. Oh, if the Saints beat the Eagles but lose to the Falcons, but then beat the Packers and lose to the Lions, then we're in. I don't want to deal with that.
We are really good at that, though. As fans, we know the scenarios inside and out. We have gotten.
We're
so
very
much
good at
experience.
math. We're good at math team.
Week 14 math. We are some of the best. K-Dot, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, nobody said anything incorrect. It's that on paper, there is no reason at all that we should not improve over what we had last year. And it should be a fairly dramatic improvement, honestly. Like, that's the thing, is that you look at last year and you see week 1, the guy who's supposed to be leading our team, Ryan Fitzpatrick, goes down. That changed everything. We went the entire year without our starting quarterback. And you have Taylor Heineke, as we've said, literally can't throw a football at the NFL level, right? We love him as far as the intangibles. He just doesn't have the mechanics to get that done. So there was an impossibility that the fact that we were at 7-10 is almost one of those things where we're like, damn, kind of impressive when you really look at it, especially when you look at the schedule that we had and all those top 6 quarterbacks that we had to play, right? Then you had the wheels fall off, COVID. You had that Cowboys game I went to, in November, where right before the game, anyone who wasn't already hurt caught COVID, right? It was just like, all right, what is happening here? And it never recovered from that, right?
Right.
So that's the thing, but that the expectations is pressure now. Look, it'd be one thing if they did not go out and get Carson Wentz. I think everybody has that. All right, Ron Rivera 5-year plan. We're sticking to it. We just need to see the improvements. No, you went and you got this guy, and this guy that you're paying this salary for this season is a guy that needs to improve this team. There's nothing that this coaching staff got everything they wanted. They handpicked as far as the offensive and defensive coordinators. Offensive coordinator just got an extension, even though I'm kind of scratching my head about it. You have everything you want. You need to produce. If I'm seeing what we saw in the first half of the season, where it was the defense was playing undisciplined, you had nobody on the defensive line was communicating properly, and Jack Del Rio, with everything he has with Twitter and all the rest of the nonsense, if you can't keep the defense disciplined, heads got to roll, sir. And then if you've got on offense, you can't have a running game that sustains anything, and you don't have you don't have any sort of passing attack that can get you those third down conversions, so you're not helping out the defense at all. You've got your handpicked guy in Carson Wentz. You have a defense which on paper everybody knows. Anytime the defense has performed, replay that Warren Sapp video.
Right.
We have the talent.
Yeah. The one thing I do just want to add is I am very curious to see how losing Brandon Sheriff works out. Right. There were a couple, I hope so, because there were a couple stats where whenever he missed a game, we were Jaguars levels of winning. It was insane. I don't know if it just happened to be the opponents we played. I would be shocked that a guard can suddenly impact the game that much, but he seemed to have that level of impact. And another interesting thing, you talk about the run game, K-Dot. I mean, offensive line is everything, right? It's been a very unheralded group of guys who have been awesome for the last couple of years, because I was looking at a statistic where Jonathan Taylor had, I want to say like 80 or 90 open lanes. They figured it out. They figured out how to calculate the number of open lanes, and Antonio Gibson had one less, just one, right? So if he's not hitting it the same way, he doesn't need to be Jonathan Taylor. There is a talent difference, and Antonio Gibson is very talented in and of itself. But if the running backs, and that's why I'm so excited about Brian Robinson being in the fold as well. He looks like he just goes up and down, doesn't care. Let me get my few and I'll go. I think then, yes, this can be a very, very scary team as well. And I do hope that we get Terry extended as well, so he can get the reps with Carson Wentz and we could just get this thing going, because I'm very excited. That being said, I do think we will lose to the Lions on week 2, because that's just something this team would do. And I think we get Matt Stafford his first win, and Trev's gone. Cool, we're down to 4. Anyway.
So it's interesting that, so I would not say Gibson is necessarily talemted.
He is.
He's athletic. Okay. He's
okay.
Here we go. Here's where I'm drawing the line, right? This guy has had how many years as a running back, right?
2.
That's not his normal, like he was wide receiver in Kentucky. Now he's a running back. So I don't think
Memphis.
At Memphis, sorry. Thinking about our
don't even
other guy
mention
that
him.
they love
52.
talking about. So at Memphis, he was wide receiver, didn't even touch the ball that much at Memphis. He was just an explosive, athletic, guy. And
that sounds like talent.
But for him to not have that position and to get 1,000 yards at that position in the NFL is talented.
It's athletic ability, and
JD McKissick's athletic, but he ain't getting 1,000 yards.
Line. JD McKissick also is a fan favorite who you guys absolutely flipped out when he scored against Atlanta.
That's what I'm saying. It's talent.
I'm not saying he's not, but when we're comparing apples to oranges here, Taylor is a talented running back.
Yes.
Gibson is an athletic NFL player who's going to be successful no matter what. Yes, you can boil that down to talent, but I'm saying as far as running back talent, I don't think that's a natural skill set for it.
Understood. I see what you're saying. Relative to a Jonathan Taylor, who, I mean, basic MVP candidate, he's not going to be nearly as talented, as experienced at the position. But he does have those moments where you go, holy cow, he really could be.
Gibson's exciting. Absolutely.
Look,
and
Gibson
I'm not
has
sold on. Sorry, Kate.
No, you go. Finish your thought.
I'm not as sold on Brian Robinson as everybody else. It was my least favorite pick this draft. But what I think would be nice is to give Gibson some, because we just mentioned JD McKissick. JD McKissick is a third down back. He's a scat back. He's one of those guys who you can roll out to the slot. That's great. What I think Gibson needs is to have less touches so that way he is more explosive rather than trying to run him between the tackles, every other play and he's getting 2-3 yards. No, you want him to find those spaces. You mentioned the lanes were open for him, but he just kept running into the backs. I think eventually he's going to get there. He's going to learn. And if he finds that open space, he's gone.
I think the reason I really like the Brian Robinson pick is because he does less thinking, and at the running back position, I think it's just instinctual. And that's what he has. There you go.
He's a running back.
That's the thing with Gibson. Gibson is natural ability. He's athletic. Whatever you want to call it, talent, athleticism, whatever. I think it's semantics. But the idea that Gibson to me has been frustrating to watch. You're 6 feet 220. Play like it. Like you can't. You're not J.D. McKissick built. You're not 150 something pounds.
He dances around too much.
He
dances way too much.
How many times have you seen that lane open up? Take what the defense is giving you, Antonio, and he does it. And it's like, dude, you're not looking for the home run. We just need somebody to play, just confident.
The first down.
I think that's why. But again, I think that's why we took Brian Robinson, because if you look at the measurables, Gibson's actually a little bigger, which is very surprising because mentally I think of Brian Robinson as this
he looks like a
giant and actually I wanted to quickly transition because you guys went to OTAs.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what that experience was like. And, if you got to see some of these guys play and just tell us about it.
All right. Well, we got there Monday night in Ashburn, had us a good old boys night out. That's that. Got up the next morning, went to OTAs bright and early, 8:30. From what I saw, Cole Turner, the rookie tight end we got from Nevada, looks the part. Has the build, the stature, the route running, the hands. He looks like he's born to play tight end. And I feel like he's going to be a huge red zone threat, a huge third down threat for us. Logan Thomas is coming off that knee injury, so who knows when he's going to be ready? Probably late November, maybe October. Who knows?
Yeah,
I feel like Cole Turner, based on what I saw in OTAs and still seeing on film after we left, I think he could step up and be that tight end 1, maybe 2 while Logan is out. John Bates is good,
solid,
but I feel Cole Turner kind of is
he gives you that little
he gives
that little extra
And Brian Robinson's going to be our Peyton Barber plus some for sure. He's going to get the third down short yardage. He's going to get coming out of the backfield, couple of passing catching a little bit. I love that pick. He was great in Alabama, hard to bring down. I think that's what we lack in our running back room. Our kind of running backs are kind of easy to take down. They don't really break tackles or force people to make a tackle. Let's see, Jahan Dotson, fast stud.
I bet.
Home run threat. I might get scrutinized for this comment, but here it is. If we don't sign Terry,
don't do it. Stop.
If we don't sign Terry,
no sentence.
How do you mute people on here?
I
mute Trev.
I think
where's the mute button?
I think we'll be okay. I'm not saying he's not gonna do what Terry does, but I just don't see any slack off of the difference between Terry.
Trev, I'm gonna press you a little bit. Define okay. What does that mean?
He seems like he gets it already. Like he feels like he already understands the offense, understands what he needs to do. He's very precise route running, great hands. I don't remember seeing him drop any passes at all when I was there or seeing him on tape.
Sleeps
afterwards.
With the football,
Sleeps with the football, interviews really well, very commanding, no silly stuff. No, it's kind of like a McLaurin 2.0, like McLaurin's little brother, honestly. He's shown in college he can make those contested catches that Terry was making for us. That Terry kind of didn't make in college because he was pretty much like a third or fourth option and a punt returner there. But when he came to us, he was getting those 50-50 balls. But because of our quarterback play, that's why he became that receiver. Not necessarily.
I'll say it for you, Trev. I'll say it for you.
Go ahead.
Jahan Dotson is just as talented. I'm not saying as good. He's just as talented as McLaurin. But you don't want to replace McLaurin
you don't,
with
but
him.
I'm saying... But they did
just
pick him.
As.
They took him at 16, which people, you can't sleep on that. We could have gotten him probably in the second round. I think that's where I think personally, because the receivers that were there, we passed. We traded back to give somebody else Olave. We didn't get Garrett Wilson. We didn't get all the top receivers that we were all on our podcast talking about. We should sign, we should draft. We get Jahan Dotson at day 2 with number 16, with maybe, I think, a little inkling that we can't get the long-term deal done with Terry. We franchise him, he's out, and then we have Jahan right there to replace Terry.
Okay, so let's. I'm enjoying this. Let's dive into it a bit more
for this
because
one,
I'll be an island,
and let's stay there.
Nice, I'm by myself.
Do you think Jahan can be a number 1? Is that the way that you think? Because and I use this example. K-Dot and I were talking about it. So Andrew Wiggins in the NBA had more than enough talent that, to me, he was worthy of being the number 1 overall pick, right? In that year. That being said, what did we discover this postseason? He's not a number 1 option, but he has amazing talent worthy of a number 1 pick. So in this case, Jahan, to me, and I've got a number of friends of mine that are Penn State fans. I myself, a bit more of a casual Penn State guy. I'll watch a few games. Very, very solid, like a very safe floor. And he's not bad at anything. He's actually quite good at most things. To me, I don't see him as a true number 1 in the NFL, though. But I do see him as a really, really solid number 2 who can have number 1 games, right? Where he can go for 150 and 2. I see it, but it's more with somebody else taking that attention off him. Where do you see him there, Trev?
I guess it's too early to tell because we haven't seen him play an NFL game yet.
Fair enough.
And to be quite honest, I don't think Terry is a number 1. I think he was just brought into that on our squad because we don't have any other receivers better than Terry. I think Terry is a very good number 2. If you put him on, I don't know, a Cooper Kupp with the Rams, you put him on Jamar Chase with the Bengals, I don't see him taking that number 1 spot. I just see him at number 1 in the Washington because Curtis Samuel's number 2. He's always hurt. And then you have who after that?
Well, I guess in this case, Jahan, of course, but
Jahan,
right.
and then
I see what you're
Brown,
saying.
So in our squad,
this is
number 1.
I'm gonna interrupt you here, Troy, because this is where I'm shocked that you're trying to tell me that if Terry's not re-signed, that they're going to be okay. You just listed the reasons why Terry is struggling to produce like a number 1 wide receiver. He has nobody opposite him. If you get rid of Terry McLaurin,
and now we have Carson
Dotson's
Wentz.
going to have
and Keanu Reeves throwing the football.
Yeah,
true.
Eight different Keanu Reeves.
No,
throwing the football.
I understand, but that's what. But he is our number 1 because all of our other receivers.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is, if you give up Terry McLaurin, if he goes somewhere else, Dotson's going to have that same problem. He's still just
how do you know that
lining up next to him, Cam Sims, Curtis Samuel,
but he's going to have a better
Brown.
year. He's going to have a better year at the beginning than Terry did because I'm a better quarterback.
Yeah,
and I know Terry had a great year with all the quarterbacks we had, but he was our best receiver. I don't think he's like a true number 1 on anybody else's squad except for our squad.
Absolutely a true number 1.
He has to be.
Many teams.
There's 32 starting number 1 wide receivers theoretically, right?
He didn't even make the NFL top 100 by his peers. I'm just
who did make it.
Lists are lists. Just saying, but they're all number 1s. DK Metcalf might be a worse receiver. He's a number 1 receiver.
He's not even the number 1 receiver on his team, for the record. He's the number 2 receiver on his team, and the stats play out that way. I know that those 2 Yahoos really.
Tyler Lockett is not the number 1 receiver.
I'm going to have to push back there. DK is absolutely the number 1.
He's definitely number 1.
But Terry's definitely. Kate, it looks like you have a lot you want to say on this topic. Go ahead. I can't hold you back anymore.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Start. All right. Number 1, put down the Ashburn flavored burgundy and gold Kool-Aid, sir. Do not try to make them effing up the Terry McLaurin thing and try to create some soft landing for me.
They're going to F it up, bro.
No.
Before you start, what we do as an organization, we offer more money to free agents than we do the people who are already in the house.
Yes.
And that's a problem.
It's horrible.
Which is mean why we're not going to get the Terry deal done.
It's a new regime, Trev. This regime has only been around for 2 years. I'm giving them I'm giving them the benefit. Everything I'm giving them as far as the benefit of that is the Jonathan Allen deal that got done last year. And when it got done, that's my baseline for how this new crop of our organization is going to get things done. Look,
he's a defensive lineman.
Look, here's the thing. I understand as far as track record. I get it. I can't even really disagree with you too hard. That's the only reason I'm really terrified about the Terry McLaurin thing. What I'm not gonna do is try to happen, but I'm not gonna create a soft landing for it. It would freaking suck if Terry McLaurin's not on his team. Look, Terry has. No, I don't want bracing. I want fire and pitchforks in Ashburn. Look, Terry has produced the way he's produced with no one of value throwing him the football and no one on the opposite side. The most talented dude he's had opposite him is Curtis Samuel that can't see the field. And when he does see the field, he's 60% healthy at most. So it's like and with an Antonio Gibson that doesn't quite know how to play the running back position, everyone knows zero in on Terry, and he still gets it done at a level at which I don't know if you look across the league how many other guys can get it done on that level. That's why he's absolutely a number one receiver.
And not only is he getting it done at that level, dude is going to get his head taken off on half these throws because they are just airmail, and he's still making these plays. He's still making these plays for us.
So that makes him a number one?
Die on the field, and he's still making these
Here's
plays.
what makes him a number one to me. The dude got named captain on a football team from a wide receiver position 2 years in.
We don't have anybody else to give that captainship to on our squad, K-Dot. Somebody's got to get it.
Whoa.
Just a friendly reminder to the audience. The original question was how was OTAs?
On the offense.
Please continue.
Yeah, see, they don't want to get that OTA story out. We know there's something there. There's something there, guys.
Well, ask them this. Make it a little bit more pointed question about OTAs.
Yeah.
How much of OTAs did you actually see?
We were there for the
beginning
entire
to the
duration.
end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clearly,
you attended
with clear eyes.
So yeah, let's dive into that a little bit. Those clear eyes and that entire duration. How long was that, and what did you see exactly?
It was about a 2-hour session.
Yeah, 8 to 11. It was a 3-hour session, and we were there for from the opening. I remember it all,
and it was like 94 degrees or something.
It was blistering hot. The problem was they it was for fans. Okay, it wasn't for content creation. It was for fans, and in that regard, a lot of the action was happening away from us. So that was the part.
Like you got to really film warming up, but once they got into like drills and 11-11s, you couldn't film anything.
So we were next to where the tight ends and the running backs were working out and warming up, and so that's where we got to see Cole Turner. And I knew he was a big guy, but I mean he made Bates look small.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's how big of a dude he is.
He's just like naturally built for that position. You know,
honestly, I'm not expecting big things from him this season, but that kind of made me.
I'll tell you what.
That made me think.
You're ready to cut Terry McLaurin for Jahan Dotson.
I'm being real. That's what we do as an organization. We're not going to get
not in the last
done.
2 years, though, Trev. Not under this regime.
He even said it last Wednesday. We might even possibly franchise tag him and then go on from there, which we probably will, and he won't be with us long term, which is why we got Jahan Dotson at 16.
In which case he would sit out the entire season, right? Because
he's not sitting out the whole year.
I think he would. I absolutely think he would because he's due 2.7. He's due.
No,
for a moment.
Awful.
He's due 2.7. Jahan Dotson signing bonus is 4x that. Just for signing the thing. And then next year, assuming he doesn't get injured because he sat out, he makes 28 just for sitting out. And he's definitely going to make that. So I don't think it's worth playing on the 2.7.
Don't.
And he could risk injury.
Do not.
And all of a sudden
he should.
No, hang on.
He should.
And then you got a Trev GM who's like, he's not even a number one. And so then he's just not getting anything.
Not anywhere else.
He's not guaranteed $28 million next year.
No, with the franchise tag. I'm saying that'd be the average of the top 5.
But why would the team franchise a guy who sat out for a year? Why would they reward him with a $28 million contract if he didn't
it's
even
not about the
his
team at that
contract?
point. At that point, it's about Terry McLaurin looking out for Terry McLaurin. Then don't franchise him and you'll still make his money. No one's going to blame him for that.
Yeah, this is why we're not going to get it done, K-Dot.
Stop.
I'm done speaking that into existence. Back to the OTA question.
Yes, OTA question.
We're seeing the running backs in action. Brian Robinson definitely looks like a tank, even though you mentioned how he's similar size to Gibson. He just looks like he plays.
He's a running back build. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, but I will say that he was taking the drills slower. I'm not going to say that he looked slower. He was taking the drills slower than the other running backs. Now, some of that is, you got, Jarrett freaking Patterson, who's desperate to make this team. So he's going to try hard every single, rep that he gets compared to Brian Robinson, who's guaranteed to be on this team as long as he doesn't completely cough it up, during preseason. But he was definitely leisure with his, which didn't excite me at all. We mentioned earlier the passing. like, even though it was off in the distance, you could just tell who was throwing the pass. Anytime it was like a duck, you're like, who was that? Oh, yeah, it was Taylor. If it was a sharp pass, you're like, oh, Carson Wentz threw something good. And then you look over and you're like, wait, that was Sam Howell. You know,
like it was just good to see a competent quarterback make a competent NFL throw at OTAs to a receiver. You know, Nathan, like it was really good. It wasn't like, oh, well,
we saw some of that at training camp last year.
Trev, mentally, you sound so trapped from the last few years.
Bro,
you're just like, this is amazing. Did you,
seriously,
the sun's out today.
No, because like you said, like back to Terry real quick, 1,000 yards with duck arms all year. Like we were getting our receivers killed. We kept forcing it like check down because our
my
deep
man
ball was
had
awful.
what's eating
like,
Gilbert grape throwing
it was just
passes
it was just
against
bad.
the Dallas defense. You know,
seeing Chase Young on the side field doing some rehab. I know he's not in full pads, but that's good to see where he is in progress coming up from ACL. Same with Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas has a sleeve on his leg and he's running some routes. He's on the side field. He's moving about 75%. Chase Young wasn't. He was doing more of like a stretching kind of, you know, the band thing. Rehab, but to see their progress, both of those guys from just tearing ACL just a few months ago.
And Curtis Samuel was out on the field, and he was running sharp. He was cutting. That was exciting to see. And I know people are kind of crazy about him sitting out and stuff, but they're just being overly cautious, I think, which is a good thing. Stoner shaking your head. I know, but all the money we have invested in him, like we said last year, you gotta leave the Ferrari in the garage if you have to. Some days that's fine. You don't
but half the days?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Come on. It's OTAs. There's no problem with that. We already lost 2 OTAs for like excessive contact.
I think that's for the best, by the way. That's just 2 less days.
When the catalytic converter is off the Ferrari, you don't rush it out like you did last year, right? Like you got it.
Yeah, you got
to. Get it prepared
if Terry is our Ferrari, you don't want to use, like you said, the catalytic converter is Curtis Samuel. You don't want to just.
De'Ami Brown was hurt a lot last year.
Yeah,
De'Ami Brown has a lot of work to do.
But William Jackson, all these other guys who were banged up last year, they weren't sitting out half the OTAs.
The one thing that scared me,
Samuel.
The one thing that scared me last year was I remember Steve Smith got on the radio and he started talking about how we overpaid for Curtis Samuel. And he's like, sorry, guys, he's just not that dude. And literally the next day, and Curtis Samuel had missed weeks of practice. The next day, full participant. Yeah. And it was like, wait, hold on. Were you fine this whole time? And you just needed to hear somebody say something to like that scared me from that moment where all of a sudden he was like, actually, I'm good. That
I just don't understand it. Because when we played them with Kyle Allen, I believe they torched us when Curtis last year. And he comes to us, it's like,
You know, that's why they paid him the big contract.
And maybe,
and that's the problem.
We've seen that happen with players before.
We pay more money to outsiders than we do our own house, and that's why we have such a hard time and wait to the very last minute and cause heart attacks when we're trying to extend our captains and souls and hearts and beats.
I will side here with Stoner though, in that it is a new regime, and again, based on the very, very small sample size we have, Jonathan Allen's deal did get done very late last year. It was literally the day before training camp started. I don't think that's the template where we're just, you know, what are we doing? Yeah, pointing out the John Allen. I don't think we're just like, you know, on the beach for 3 weeks and then they're like, okay, you want to sign it now? Like they're working on it. I'm sure they're working on it.
I think they are, but I think the difference is this year and last year with John Allen, they didn't have any defensive linemen making the news about signing this 4-year deal for $100 million. So you would have to worry about the defensive lineman price tag going up this year after we see what Terry's done.
That's
and
a
then
fair
you
point.
see Christian Kirk and all these people getting AJ Brown getting all this mad money for less production than Terry McLaurin. So now that's why I think we should panic and that's why I think that the comparisons differ because we don't have to. There's not much just pressure last year with Jonathan Allen than there is with Terry and getting this done.
That's fair enough.
It's just not time to panic for me right now.
Right.
Yeah, I'm panicking, bro. Get it done now.
If we're in August and he hasn't signed an extension,
then it's terrible.
Then you can start to kind of raise that panic meter. But right now, like you mentioned, the Jonathan Allen deal didn't happen until right before training camp.
Yep. He's a defensive lineman. You don't need chemistry.
they are actively engaged in contracts right now.
But
that
you
is
need
public
chemistry.
now.
You need chemistry with Terry.
I'm telling you right now that I've always had the Terry deal getting pegged right around where Jonathan Allen got it last year, just because the way it seems as though these guys handle business. Which, look, in all honesty, sometimes it's not necessarily the best. You look at what happened with the J.D. McKissick thing with the whole Buffalo stuff. You're just like, do these guys have the details all figured out sometimes? Mm-hmm. There's a little bit there. But I also think because of all the stuff that's happened off the field with it and with us this offseason, and I also think because of the vibe that you're getting from fans when you do hear about the Terry McLaurin deal not getting done, I actually think the onus is on this organization to get something done and get it done quick. I've actually pushed up my timeline that I do think Terry's going to get done, and I think it'll get done in the next 2 weeks, just because I think they want this story to go to bed.
So I want to very, very briefly and quickly talk about basketball because we have the NBA draft coming
up. Can I ask one question about the OTAs? One question.
Yes.
Did you guys see Gandy-Golden at tight end?
Oh, yes. I think it'll work.
The video I'm seeing is interesting.
I'm on the opposite side. I don't think it's going to work.
Logan Thomas, he can't start till late. Then we have Cole Turner and then John Bates. You're going to need a tight end 3. It's not Tariq Hemingway. It's not the fullback that we signed from Carolina.
We are a huge Sami Samuels podcast, by the way, just to be clear.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We're riding that train until it's gone.
Reyes is probably going to get cut or on the practice squad.
Okay.
The guy was on the bike. I love the dude. I want him to be so successful.
Yeah.
You have no idea. These
what
guys
a story.
Make fun of me, but
cool.
He was
story,
on the
whatever.
bike, and I just don't see it happening.
Well, Nathan, you can come back anytime, bud. We can wax lyrical about Sami Samuels and his potential. Yeah, go ahead.
K-Dot, this is AGG's last chance to be on the roster for the Commanders.
Absolutely.
I think that's the move
in the NFL,
and I think this will probably sit him. This position will sit him better than it did at wide receiver. Yeah, he was a receiver at Liberty, contested catches, but he didn't create enough separation to be a wide out in the league. So I think tight end is the best spot for him.
Going against some backers hopefully will help.
I'm rooting for him hard.
Just want to go real quick around the room. So K-Dot, you're saying yes, Terry does resign this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan?
Absolutely.
Trev?
Nah, dog.
Nah. And Stoner?
My hot take is that both Carson and Terry will get done right around the same time.
Ooh.
I think they're going to redo Carson's deal to make it heavy early, right? To free up some more room for Terry and for others. That's my
Landon coming back.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, hey, this is why we have
Kerrigan
the district on
Ryan
right
Kerrigan.
now. Look at
I
that.
want Kerrigan back.
Capologist, Stoner.
No.
Look at that. I love it.
This is the hot take.
I need one of my jerseys to pan out, damn it.
Don't we all? Anyway, let's move on to the NBA draft real quick.
Yeah.
The Wizards currently have pick 10 in that draft, and we have been basically in no man's land for any number of years now. Do we blow it up and start over and acknowledge that we are not good, or do we go for it? We have a Bradley Beal. We have.
I was about to say, what's your definition of blowing it up? Is that getting rid of Beal?
I would include that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would.
They're not going to do that. They should.
I don't think so either.
They should, but they're not going to do that.
And we're going to get to Beal in a moment as well. But I wanted to first begin with first off, Trev, at pick 10, do we stay there?
Yeah.
And if we don't, what are we doing? Are we moving up to 4? Seems to be the rumor. What player would you like? So basically that's a lot to ask, but like pick 10, pick 4. What are your thoughts on the draft this Thursday for the Wizards?
Stay at 10. If you're going to move up, it's going to cost way too much. And I don't think there's anybody in the draft that is worth that right now, especially for the Wizards.
At what? It's not worth what?
Trade
Moving
up
up?
at 4.
Yeah, like giving up the house to get the 4 to get.
You don't like Jaden Ivey?
I do, but is he NBA ready right now? Like right now? No, he's not. And you think so? Stoner thinks I don't.
No, I don't think so.
He's a shooting guard?
Yeah,
he's a combo, but he's mostly a shooting
Washington needs a true point guard. We already have Bradley Beal. Yes, you do. Because Raul Neto is not a true point guard. Sorry. Great story, great kid, hard worker. Gotta go. You haven't had a real point guard. I'm gonna say it because he made the news today since John Wall.
Sure.
You haven't. And none of his players, I piggyback on Chase Hughes, he's saying this too. None of the players in the draft are going to be a NBA ready from day one like John Wall was when we got him at point guard. It's not going to happen. So don't mortgage the house to move up to 4 to get a shooting guard to pair with Bradley Beal, who's a shooting guard, because who's going to play the 1?
They came out. They said that Beal can play point guard.
Yep.
Cool. He can, but does he want to? Does he really want to?
If he signs the Supermax, he'll do whatever they want him to do.
I can play point guard, but it's
do
going
the
to be
halftime show.
For the
He'll
team.
do it all.
Like,
yeah.
Anybody can. I mean, LeBron can play point guard. Like everybody can play point guard, but it's going to be beneficial to the team if he gets out of his comfort zone as being the two, coming off screens, making moves off of that to transition to be a point guard, a leader of offense. Is that really going to be beneficial, or is that just say, hey, he can do it, no problem? I'd rather have somebody come in there with that defined position that Bradley Beal can play off of, 1-2 punch, not saying, oh, well, I'll be the 2 this week, I'll be the 1 next week. And if you're going to get rid of your house to get the number 4, then go out and get an established veteran to take that spot. Don't find it in the draft where you have to wait 2 to 3 years for him to be great and then take another 2 or 3 years of losing seasons because you spent your house on Jordan Davis from Wisconsin or Jaden Ivey from Purdue.
Yeah, man, I'm just tired of the no man's land. K-Dot, what do you think? What should we do in the draft here?
I'm staying at 10. Like, unless there's something that you can do, because like I don't see any moves around this landscape right now in which you could even package it in a trade to go get some vet or something to come in that's really going to elevate the team right now. Like, if you're looking at what we have as far as trade bait outside of Beal, what are you really going to package in to get us something that really catapults us to? I mean, right now, I'd say where are we? We've got a young guy. We've got a bunch of young guys. We're still not entirely sure, I think, about where the ceiling is for all of them. I'm still just kind of in this wait and see and develop kind of mentality with the squad. It's just one of the reasons we'll get to Beal as far as what it is I think we should do with Beal. But the like I stay at 10. I like AJ Griffin at 10 if he's around there at that particular point. With a defensive-minded coach like Wes Unseld. Maybe help if he gets healthy, especially this offseason, and you can train him up, build him up. He's got a really good frame. He's only going to get bigger. I think he can coach the defense, but he's a hell of a scorer, a hell of a shooter. And I think that like that to me is something I'm like, that's an interesting piece to add to also just see where we are talent-wise as the years go on. Because look, we're not competing for a championship. We're not competing for a championship in the next how many years, if we're being completely honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
But can you have this kind of exciting young core group in which you can maybe create an exciting destination in the next 2 years for somebody to come in here and say, hey, let's take this team over the top? I don't know. But right now we're just in this kind of no man's land. It really sucks because I want to see us do something, but right now there's not a lot of things you can do. So just see what you got, develop as best as you can, move the pieces when you can. Don't rock the boat too much right now if Beal's not going anywhere.
And it's for that reason that we have taken sort of safe floor guys, the past couple of years, for example, and Denny Avdia, there's some risk, but you knew he was going to be a pretty good defender at the very least. Corey Kispert, we know what he is. I mean, he's eventually just going to get used to shooting the NBA 3, and he was getting better as the season went. So like, he's going to be fine. This to me is the time to go, okay, balls to the wall. Just take the highest ceiling guy. And if it completely fizzles out, fine. Nathan, what do you think?
Well, I think K-Dot's method is a surefire way to stay in mediocrity for the next few seasons. If you stay at 10, you're not going to get a guy who's going to impact, right? You're going to get another one of these guys who, as Amit said, there's high floor, but where's the ceiling going to be? I like Denny. I like Kispert. Maybe not as much as Stoner loves Kispert, but but if you can move up to 4 and potentially get a guy who has that all-star potential, then you got to do that, right? You have to make that move, because otherwise you are just going to be stuck with, hey, are they going to make the play-in? Are they going to be the Timberwolves and they celebrate the play-in victory?
Hey,
woohoo! Not really where you want to be, though, right? You want to be a team
that got there.
Maybe,
those photos were amazing.
Anyway,
go ahead.
They're so good. They make it look like they won the actual NBA championship.
Right.
To me, if you don't want to be stuck in that level, that picking from 10 to 16 year after year, then you have to make a move. And, sometimes that move is blowing it all up, which is what, we're going to, talk about next.
Right.
But to me, it doesn't make any sense to stay at 10 if you want to try to progress this team. Now, you might have to give up some pieces, some of those pieces that we haven't yet seen develop, that we want to see. I would hate to give up Kispert or Denny or even Kuzma, although I'd be okay losing Kuzma because he's not, really, attached to the Wizards. He played one season here. I think that he's a a decent player, but I think he's like a number 2 or number 3 option.
And he played up his value quite a bit.
Oh,
yeah,
he absolutely did. And but if you can trade that away, then great. Now, where the risk really comes is if you use future first round picks to go move up to 4 and
That's
Ivy
awful.
doesn't pan out.
Bingo.
Then that's where you're going to be stuck in worse than mediocrity. You're going to be a bottom dweller for years without getting any kind of return for it. But
Right.
I think Ivy has the potential to become a star player.
They could drop down to 10. You never know how the draft goes.
yeah, that's true.
Anything's possible.
That's why I like AJ Griffin. That's why I'm picking this guy, is that I think the floor is really low. But I also think that he has the ability to, like, I think the biggest concern with him is all these injuries the last few seasons. He's the second probably best pure shooter in this draft, and I think has the talent to be the number 1. I think you're looking at a 20-point player. If he can stay healthy, and like if you put the defensive piece there with him on a frame that's kind of similar to what Jimmy Butler looked like coming in the league, like I'm looking at a guy that I want to make some movement. If you're going to stay at 10, give me somebody that's a risk. I want to bang.
You're going to get Dyson Daniels if you stay at 10.
And I bet he's going to be. I bet he'll be rookie of the year.
They're not staying at 10.
Okay, so Stoner, go ahead. We're not staying at 10. What do you think?
They're not staying at 10 for all the reasons that all of you all gave. They just can't continue on with this mediocrity. So they're not staying at 10. I don't believe that they are.
You got to give up a lot.
They are going to have to give up a lot, but that's what you have to do in order to move up that next level. And especially in the East, you've got a lot of contending teams in the East with Milwaukee and Philly and Boston and Miami. That's a tough road to get through, right? But so they have to do something. And this idea that they need a point guard, I think is crazy. LeBron changed that part of the game to where you don't need a point guard.
LeBron's LeBron.
Steph is not a traditional point guard.
But he's a point guard.
Marcus Smart is not a traditional point guard. If he's even
they need a
point guard.
They need a point guard. He is their point guard, but
Jaylen Brown just needs to learn how to dribble. That's all. But
he's a 3. He shouldn't. But
what I'm saying is you don't need a traditional pass first point guard anymore. That's a dying breed. You just need to get the ball from whatever it is from the end line to half court, and then it goes through your best players. The traditional point guard is gone. So let's not worry about that, trying to get that kind of player. But go out and get yourself, the rumors are the Dejounte Murrays and the SGAs and the Malcolm Brogdons and the kid in Dallas, Brunson, guys like that.
Yeah, go get
you. You don't necessarily need that kind of guy. You need an explosive player like a Jaden Ivey. That's my guy.
Okay.
And I think that's what they're going to do. My prediction is they are going to trade Kuzma, which, by the way, Kuzma will not be on this team next year. This year, I should say. He's not going to be.
He might start.
He's got like $13 million that he makes this year, right?
It's an amazing contract. Yeah, right? That is an amazing.
But he's a free agent next year. So they're not going to be able to re-sign him if, and we're going to talk about it, if Beal is here, if Porzingis is here. You know what I mean? That's $70-80 million.
Well, Stoner, you're already on the right track. So let's go ahead and transition to that.
Let's go right into it.
What are we doing with Brad? Because he is eligible. So 5 years, $246 million, right? And I think I can speak for all of us when we say we love Bradley Beal. We believe he's an incredibly talented guy. He's been with us since the draft. Awesome player. But is he going to be worth that amount of money for this franchise? So Stoner, go ahead.
Yes, of course he is.
Oh my God.
Really?
Of course he is.
You've got to be kidding me.
2 years. That happens sometimes. In 2 years, a Bradley Beal type player is going to get $60 million a year. It's just going to keep going up, and he's going to be on the low end of that. You have to pay for talent. Now, if they take him and they do a sign and trade and they bring back something not as value as him, but something close to him, right? Then I would be okay with it. but do not trade him for picks, for a whole bunch of first-round picks. I can't stand when you trade something that you already know what you have for something you don't know what they're going to be. And these guys, Trev and Nathan, they're tired of me saying it, but why you already have when you draft a guy in the first round, high first round, let's just say they get a guy in the high first round, you hope that he's going to score 30 points a game and that he's going to be a franchise type player and he's going to be good off the court and he's going to be loyal and the fans are going to love him and he's going to do everything that you've ever asked him. He's going to basically stay healthy all this time. You already have that. Why do you need to go and try and get somebody to try and become Bradley Beal? You already have Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal can't lead you to a championship. We know that. But Bradley Beal can with the right parts around him.
Okay, so you're saying sign the deal and get those pieces around Bradley Beal.
Figure out the rest.
One of which could be Jaden Ivey. Okay, go ahead, Trev.
You said you already have that with Bradley Beal, and he could probably take you to the promised land with pieces around him.
Yes.
He's had a lot of pieces around him in his career. He's had better pieces around him in his career. We'll say that. He's had good pieces. He has.
And when they had good pieces, they got to the playoffs.
As a what seed?
Oh, I don't know. One year they were
when was the last time they made the playoffs?
Just a
second
couple
round.
Well, last year.
Last time they made it to the second round.
Two seasons
second
ago.
round, it's been a while. I think the Boston series, probably.
Yeah, it was with John Wall.
Yeah.
It's time to let him go, bro.
No.
Who are you going to bring in here to play with him?
You bring it up.
Who? You've had him. He's been in Washington this long, and nobody wants to come play with him in Washington. Nobody.
I think that's the biggest problem.
He picks his friends, and it still doesn't even work out, bro. So maybe it's not them. Maybe it's Bradley Beal. He handpicked Spencer Dinwiddie. And what happened when Spencer Dinwiddie left?
Yeah, that blew up.
Well, he went to the playoffs.
KP.
No, it turned into a playoff.
Turned into the unicorn.
It turned out to a playoff appearance by the Dallas Mavericks with Spencer Dinwiddie there.
Right.
Just saying. I know he had Luka, but I'm still saying you handpicked Spencer. He had a great year in Brooklyn, got hurt, came back with Wizards, awful, and then he went to somewhere where he's trying and went to playoffs. I think it's time to move on from Bradley Beal.
Regardless of what we think, he is going to sign that contract.
He's not worth all that money. I don't believe.
Trev, is he going to get it offered to him? Yes or no? I know what you feel, but is that?
Yeah, they are, because
okay,
that's probably the logical thing to do in their organization. I mean, he would probably feel insulted if he didn't get that offer.
He's going to get offered. My big joke has always been that Bradley Beal is going to run into Tommy Shepard as Bradley Beal's running into the building to sign it, and Tommy's running out of the building to go find Brad to sign it. They're going to run into each other because they're both so excited to make this deal.
Both phones are dead.
Want it to happen. Oh yeah, it's going to happen.
But it's not going to get you anywhere. I'm just
so,
going to say that.
So Stoner, before we get to Nathan here, Stoner, I have a potential trade offer for you. Let's say I'm the Sacramento Kings. I probably wouldn't offer this just to be clear, but let's say I'm the Sacramento Kings. I'm going to offer you for Bradley Beal. I'll take it. I'm offering you the 4th overall pick. So that's going to be your Jaden Ivey. Yep. I'm offering you Davion Mitchell. Okay. Who was my first round pick last year. Love him. And I'm giving you Harrison Barnes as well. I want Bradley Beal.
Take him. Have a good day. And we keep our 10. And we keep our 10.
And we keep our 10.
Bye, Bradley. I'll pack
what do you mean you keep our
dog?
We're not giving up the 10. We're keeping. 10. So I'm trying to give you a really good deal for Brad to see where you stand, basically.
You better take that deal. If
probably some money or something.
Oh my!
You have to switch
you
up.
Said no.
I would take that deal.
Bro, you
in a heartbeat for Brad.
4 pick, a 10 pick, Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell, and who else did you say?
That's a crew. Well, so that's it. But I mean, that's a crew. So you have Jaden Ivey and Davion Mitchell as your backcourt all of a sudden. Right, you have Harrison Barnes, who's proven in the NBA.
You guys high, and this is all of a sudden a playoff team.
I never said that.
Jaden Ivey,
I never said that.
Mitchell, Harrison Barnes.
They're not a playoff team now with Bradley Beal.
Yes, we are. Yes, we will be.
No, you're not, bro. You've been this.
Yes,
you've been a playoff. How many years has Bradley been there?
By the way, it was 20. It was the 2016.
12. Yeah, 10 years. Yeah.
How many playoff appearances has
you said 2016, 2017?
Yeah, that was the last time they made it to the second round. It was that
Yeah,
Boston.
And it
the
was the
second
Boston
round.
series.
So
That was
how
also
many-
they were the 4 seed.
How many playoff
Four seed.
appearances has Bradley Beal made? In
Out of
his
the
10 years
10,
career?
probably
Yeah.
half. I would
Yeah,
say.
I'd say
Probably
about half, maybe a bit more, maybe 6.
More
Yeah.
importantly,
Yeah.
you guys you brought this
Get him out of there.
point up here earlier. Okay, how many and Kata, you said when are they going to be competing for an NBA championship? How many years are they?
5
away?
years.
Trev, you said 5. Stoner, how many do you think? How many years are they away from competing for an NBA
They're a
championship
long
as
way
it stands right now?
As it stands right now, never.
They're never right.
Right.
Why are you going to sign somebody for 5 years, even if they are that player, and you're not going to make it?
Thank
to
you.
the
You're gonna-
NBA championship.
You're
Why
gonna stay
do that?
exactly
Because
put, bro.
you still have other moves that you can make.
No,
Why
you
can't
can't.
you? Why can't you trade Kyle Kuzma?
We were talking about staying
For
at
what?
10
Because
and
Kyle
still
Kuzma-
not making it. We
Stoner,
were talking
here's
about
a-
moving
you
up to
can't-
4 and still
here's
not
an
making
offer.
it. It surrounds by Beal. So
Here's
don't
an
sign
offer.
him
All
to
right, what's
5
an offer?
years.
Here's an offer.
Go ahead.
Kyle Kuzma,
No.
Corey Kispert. Next year's 1.
Next year's.
Next year's 1. Well, I don't
Okay.
even think they have one next year, actually. So maybe the year after.
Oh, because of the right. Go ahead.
So
okay.
year after,
Okay.
right? Maybe even another 1. I don't care.
Wow. Okay.
Right?
So 2 1s in those
For the
two.
4.
Mm-hmm.
For the
For
4
just
pick.
the 4.
That's it.
For number.
No.
Kuzma?
not doing that.
No, dude. No.
Who's not
bro.
doing that? Sacramento's not doing that?
I'm not doing that.
Oh no, Sacramento's certainly doing it.
Oh yeah, they
That's
will.
what I'm saying.
As the Wizards,
Honest
I'm
not
not doing
doing it.
that. No,
Yeah.
that's a lot to give up. You
I'm-
better
I'm
hope
keeping
Jaden Ivey's
Kuzma.
like.
You're not
keep-
getting Kuzma after next year. You
I'm
can't
keeping
afford him.
Kuzma.
K-Dot, would you do that deal?
No, but that's
No.
so like Stoner. I will say that when you were talking, at least initially, you almost swayed me. Like I was looking off into the distance. I was thinking about it.
The pensive looking.
There was there ended up being this thing where it was like, all right. We know Bradley Beal is not the first banana on this team. He's just not capable of doing it. We saw what it's like. It's not gonna work out, right?
No.
So do you have the ability to move anything else around him to potentially build something?
Yes.
No.
Tommy
I don't
Shepard has
know.
done that in
But
the
it-
last 2 years.
And it's
He's
gotten him
shown the
nowhere.
ability, right? But he has shown the ability.
He's tried.
That's what
I
he
will give him
has.
that. He has
He has
had
tried.
some
And look,
swings.
if
Yeah.
I'm looking at like where we were, let's say 2.5 years ago,
Mhm.
where we were all sitting down with this John Wall contract, figuring out how the hell are we going to get out of this situation?
Mhm.
We flip it from Russ to the squad that we have now. And I'm saying that's an improvement.
Mhm.
Now it's an improvement, and you also have Brad Beal in this sense of, all right, at least we know where the ceiling is for Brad. I think we know now. He's
I
an
think so.
all-star. He's not your first banana that's going to bring you to a championship in the playoffs, or he's not going to. He might not even win you a series in the playoffs. Just him by himself. It's just not going to happen.
No, we've seen it. It doesn't happen.
It
So
doesn't.
that's the thing is like there's a part of me that I'm on the fence now, and I didn't think I was here, but like the fence that I'm at right now is that I want to blow it up just because there is me that's sick and tired of the mediocrity that this organization has kind of been for how long now, right?
Years.
You want to be OKC?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Kind of
Oh.
like in the sense of like at least like
I know
come
it's
on,
tough.
I need a light at the end of the tunnel, but I need like I
And
want
not a freight
something.
train, right?
It's
Go
not
ahead.
the freight train, right? I need something. And I'm looking at the way that these teams around the league have kind of been built, the ones that are like in contention right now, that have built up through the draft and over
Mhm.
years in
That's
doing
right.
this sort of thing. And I'm like, the idea of the big three or your big two is kind of out the window now.
It is.
You,
It's
you
dead.
need this star. You need your star, right? But almost all the stars you look around the league are homegrown.
That's right.
And so if I want to do anything in my ability to kind of get that done, I want to speed the process up. So
Got a trade
what does
for
that
you.
mean? What's the trade?
Bradley Beal.
Who are we though? Are we Washington or are we the other team?
We're Washington.
Okay, so are we doing this trade? Okay.
We're yeah.
So you already
Bradley
said
Beal.
Beal, so
Bradley
Stoner's
Beal.
out.
Bradley Beal.
No,
Kyle
I'll do it
Kuzma.
for the right guys.
Bradley
not
Beal.
picks.
And
Beal,
Kuzma will not be here after next year.
No,
There's
he's
chance.
not. He's gone.
He's gone.
Beal, Kuzma, and the
Okay.
number 10 pick. The number 10 pick for Russell Westbrook.
No. of course
Why?
not. No.
What-
No,
I'm
was-
not even
that
gonna
was
answer
one
I-
of Bradley's
I-
best
I-
years.
You know, I'm actually a
That was
Thunder
one of
guy.
Bradley's
You know,
best
I love
seasons.
Westbrook, and I'm not doing that.
Absolutely not. Are you a Lakers guy, Trev?
I'm a LeBron guy. Yeah. I like
Okay, there it
Yeah,
is.
he's
There
a-
it is. Okay, so you're helping the Lakers out with that big
Yeah,
time. I
for
was
sure.
like, what on
But
earth is
get,
that?
Get Beal out of Washington, bro. he spent 10 years there. Second round playoffs, you don't get a banner, you don't get a trophy, you don't get a certificate, you don't get anything. He doesn't. I mean, he's not.
But that's the thing with Brad. That's my issue with Brad.
Yeah.
My issue with Brad is that he's too freaking comfortable. I think he's fine. Like when everybody else was saying that Brad's going to want his way out, I've been saying on every podcast, every episode, Brad is comfortable where he's at.
I just don't think he's deserved the max offer.
I don't. But here's the thing: is like but that to me is like if you're going to be even the second fiddle on a team that's supposed to win anything, I need a bigger mentality than that. And it don't even feel like I don't get the I'm going to win a championship in Washington. I don't get that mentality.
There's no dog from Brad.
There's none of that.
Stoner.
Zero dog.
I just want to make it clear.
In Washington, I want to get paid, and I'm cool.
I don't care who comes and plays. I just get money.
I know that sounds harsh. That sounds extremely harsh on Beal. It sounds extremely harsh on Beal. I get it, but I'm saying that like, but in this, but in this era of the NBA, right, where now you have this sort of backlash with the younger guys that are putting their flag in the stand and saying, I'm going to win a championship here. Like, I look across like Trae Young. Trae Young's not going anywhere.
Take over the game.
No. Like, Brad doesn't, I don't get that from Brad at all.
He's so mediocre.
And those are top 5 picks, which is why when Stoner says, hey, let's move into the top 5. I mean, again, but the thing is, like, you kind of have to do.
But then, and I get that. And this is what I'm saying is, like, we got to kind of speed up this process, right? Is that, like, you don't know what Ivy or any of these guys are going to be until you get them on the court.
I will tell you this, the only way I'm not blowing this up, and this is an absolute pipe dream, but I would trade everything possible short of Beal and Porzingis for Dame Lillard. If that were somehow on the table, somehow.
See, now that gives me
gives
me back to the point guard talk. You
fine.
need a point guard.
He's not I mean, he's a scoring guard.
Okay, that's more than what NATO was and Ish Smith and whoever else.
Okay, right.
I don't even know if
he's not
Dame's
a traditional point guard.
No, he's not. But I don't even know that he's on the table. But that's the only way I'm keeping this team together.
You need a point guard.
Who was it again?
Oh, I said just literally anything that they want,
except for Beal and Porzingis. Yeah. Oh, I'd do that.
Yeah.
You just
give them whatever they want.
You need your max player.
I'd take one of the younger guys,
like K. Dot said. But if you're going to offer max money to a pedestrian player, like your max player should be.
Player? But yeah, he's getting pretty harsh. He called me mediocre.
No, yeah, hold on. Mediocre. You know what I mean? And I want to make sure I clear that I'm not on that side. I don't hate Brad. All right. So let me clear that up. So everybody knows where I'm standing. Brad, I love you, bud. I just want to see some dog in here.
I love it. Ahmed started this whole talk with, we all love Brad. We all want him to.
Yeah, I do love Brad.
But I want to see him.
I do.
All this chatter, and then K-Dot out of nowhere yells, "I don't hate Brad."
I just want to make sure this knows where the podcast stands. We just gotta come back. It's like reading topic.
That's like what K-Dot said. We got to figure out if Brad is all about the money or if he's about winning a championship. Is he going to be offered the super max and be like, look, I appreciate it, but I'd rather like take a lesser deal in order for us to bring more talent in here? Kind of what James Harden's going to be doing in Philly right now. He's going to be taking a lesser max deal than what he's supposed to be offered so he can get some more people in there. I just don't think that 5 years, $200 and some million for Bradley Beal is appropriate for mediocrity for the next 5 years.
Bradley Beal is not mediocre. He's not mediocre.
He's better than mediocre.
No, the team. Like,
mediocre.
He needs to go somewhere with another superstar like him because he just can't do it when he's the main guy in Washington. He's proven that. He just can't be done.
Yeah. I think he's going to get the deal. I do think that he's worth it. He's proven that he should be paid that money. I just don't think Washington should be the one to do it.
That's what
you said that nicely. I like the way you said that.
That's what I just said. But
we were too loud. We made it seem as though we didn't like him. You said it calmly. It made sense.
Trev, you were sitting there calling mediocre and pedestrian. And really close.
His attitude is
Brad.
His attitude. Like, I'm just going off the dog mentality. Like,
I don't like that.
He doesn't have it.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think he has it. If I'm being clear, I don't.
When they're backs against the wall, he's not demanding the ball. He's not like, give me the.
But I'll see the viral video. But I'll see the viral video like when he's talking to like those upstart kids.
Right.
And I'm like,
not playing,
holy
right?
crap. But it's
Cool.
like, I'm like, I don't see that when you're in uniform.
Exactly.
Brad.
I agree.
Brad. I even agree with that. He might have had it right, and then maybe with the Dimwitty thing and everything, it just didn't pan out the way he has, and maybe he's taking a step back and trying to reevaluate what's out. I get it. Maybe it's just I don't know. I'm not in his head, right? But the idea is like, whoa. But the idea of like, people say like, bring in a Dame Lillard. I'm like,
yeah,
that's a terrible big three. Like, it's not.
I
mean,
I don't know.
I'm not going to say terrible big three. Here's what I'm going to say.
I'm with you, Ahmed. I like that.
Here's what I'm going to say. It's like,
why not?
All right, I need to actually think about it because I'm like, there is a build a team and the
City
chemistry. There's a way to build a team and to build a scheme around a team and to win games, right? Which is what you're seeing with a lot of the league teams around the league. But they've been building this homegrown talent to get to that point. Whereas the mentality for the last 10 to 15 years has been just get the 3 biggest stars you could find. They'll make it work. You got enough talent. You make the playoffs. Things will work. You get one of them take over a game at a time, right?
I will not stand for this Brad slander any longer.
But do you think? But here's
the realistic.
With teams transitioning out of the big 3 deal, right? I don't look at Brad, Dame, and KP, if that's who you're naming as far as the 3, and saying that those are going to be the guys that get you out of the second round of the playoffs. I just don't. So like I'm at a point where it's like, look, if we can keep Brad, which we know is going to happen, he signs the contract. Look, he suffered enough in Washington. He deserves the contract. I'm hopeful we can build something or find some special pieces next to him. Like maybe you stumble into an Anthony Edwards type that can play with a cat. Like, I don't know. Maybe. And I think that's the only thing we can hope for at this point. It's really the only thing we can hope for.
Gentlemen, listen, we could go on forever. We could go on forever.
I'd like to make a wager.
Okay.
I'd like to make a wager. Anybody who wants it.
I'm with it.
The Wizards will be in the playoffs
I'll take
this
that
year.
They will not make the playoffs this year. They won't even come close to making it in the play-in game.
Do you want to qualify that? I was about to say, do you want to qualify that?
They're not going to be in the running. They're not going to be in the running.
count.
They're not going to be in the running.
Is that the playoffs? Is a play-in game the playoffs?
They have to make the top 8 ultimately after the plan.
I think we can still do it. I just don't think we make it out of the first round, regardless of whatever happens.
We don't make the top 8.
They do.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say
playoffs start with the 8 teams. They will be in it.
I don't think so.
We'll Miami, Cleveland, Philly.
Cleveland,
absolutely.
I mean,
they made the play-in. They beat us a lot.
Got a bunch of guys who don't want to play.
Let's see who else.
Brooklyn, Kyrie
Boston,
won't be there.
All right, Milwaukee. So going through the list of who was in it, right? Miami. Name any of these guys you don't think it'll be there next year. Miami, Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Toronto, Chicago, Brooklyn, Cleveland.
They'll be there. They'll all be there next year, bro.
Take the bet.
I'm taking it.
I'm going to say
making the playoffs. Come on,
I'll take that dollar.
There you go, Nathan. Yep, we'll take it.
There's one. There's 2. Come on.
I'm in there too.
Come on, District.
You're saying they're going to be one of the 8.
Ahmed's in there.
We're not going to make it.
Look,
thank you. I'm with you, Ahmed. I'm with you.
I do think I like this team. If I'm being, I kind of
how do you
like
this team?
But hold on, I like this team in the sense of like I like the guys on this team, but I also think that they're capped as far as from a talent standpoint. So I think regardless of what happens, at the best case scenario, you make the playoffs and an early out. You're an early out. You might get the gentleman's sweep.
Here's my last question.
I don't want that anymore.
My last question.
We need to build better than that.
Go ahead, Trev.
You can build though. You can
we draft
Jaden
Ivey. Do we make the playoffs this year or not?
Don't try to jump on my question.
I just said if we draft Jaden Ivey.
I'm
specifically
Jaden Ivey.
Stoner saying that's what Stoner wants to happen.
I do get the Bradley Beal caveat. If they trade Beal, then the bet's off.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. If we got Jaden Ivey, the reason we got Jaden Ivey is because Kyle Kuzma's not here, and I just don't see. No, it's a lot of pressure to put on Jaden Ivey. If we stay at 10,
traded by the trade deadline,
I think so too.
Yep.
Just Boston. For me, Benedict Mathurin, if we're to stay at 10 and he's somehow there, I think he's got superstar written all over him. I'm willing to take somebody with the ceiling that high, in my opinion. But I'm also willing to take a guy whose floor is as low as I forgot how to play basketball the next day, just so long as the ceiling's high.
Oh,
that's what we need to do.
Samus Reyes mentality right there.
And now you know why we love him. Yeah.
We are a Samus Reyes podcast.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we got to wrap it up here. But once again, Ref the District. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I've had a total blast. If
too.
you guys just plug yourselves one more time, please, or whoever wants to go ahead.
Absolutely. So you can catch us at Ref the District on pretty much every social that's out there. Our YouTube channel is where we produce most of our content. We do have everything put out on audio as well. So wherever your podcasts are, you can find us there. We just ask that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check us out, DC Sports, and we air live every Wednesday at 7:30. And plus on that YouTube channel, we got a bunch of other fun stuff, as Stoner mentioned earlier, with After the Whistle. Season's coming up. We'll be doing some live streaming of the Commanders games. We're actually going to be live streaming the NBA draft. So
there you
check
go.
us out there as well.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Nathan. And they all have better cameras and lighting than I do. So there's that to look forward to as well. I've been fading slowly into oblivion over here with this faded background. But once again, guys, this is District Divided, and that was Ref the District. Thank you guys so much for listening to this DC Sports podcast. Had a total blast again there at Ref the District. Please like and subscribe to them, and please like and subscribe to us as well. And if you have any comments, please drop them. If you go, hey, Amit, that was the most idiotic thing, do it. Do it. We love that stuff.
I'm welcoming all smoke. It's fine.
Exactly.
Well, we appreciate you guys having us on.
All right, cool. Well, everyone have a good night, and we will talk to you guys later. Until then.
He signed Terry, damn it!
Nope, not happening.